Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Permac Clash right here, and tonight going on is a morning. There's a lovely crescent moon outside, or morning tonight, depending on which part of the world you're in. I want to talk about a topic that basically encompasses all of us, and that is doing the right thing. What is doing the right thing essentially? See, look, some people think it's doing good with the world, or it's essentially just ignoring the evils that go on. See, now when it comes right down to doing the right thing, it's just a change of perspectives, because it's just perspectives basically. Think about it, because when it comes right down to it, you know people think doing the right thing is, cleansing the world of evil. And what is evil? A perspective. See, good and evil, like I put them in quotations, good is in quotations and evil is in quotations, because, everybody has a different perspective in things. Anybody can express their opinions and can speak on facts, but it's a matter of perspective and a matter of looking at things. But the real sad part and the real kicker is the fact that people actually think doing the right thing means doing nothing when evil goes on. And I remember something that my teachers would say. He said, "What are you doing?" "I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing wrong." He said, "I'm doing nothing." He said, "That's the problem. You're doing nothing." And it's real funny, because I remember an excerpt. No, not an excerpt. I remember this one line in the autobiography of Malcolm X, where Malcolm X's father, he was a Garveyite, and he was talking about going back to Africa, and talking about the overall Pan Africanist movement. But then he mentioned about how the way racist people, like there was the Legion, and there's the KKK. I believe it was the Legion that came up to him saying, like, "Leave those good niggers alone, and you bad niggers are doing nothing but trouble." And if you really think about it, that's in their crooked minds, because to me they're crooked. You know what they're basically saying, right? They're basically saying that good niggers. I know using that word is a bit heinous and describes our wretchedness, as Richard Pryor once said. But good niggers. You know what good niggers are? Basically, black people who look like me, who do nothing, boast and practice Christianity, having a slave-like mind, and doing nothing. And they call Malcolm X's. Then he was known as Malcolm Little, young. His father was killed. Sad enough, by some bitter ass, angry white people, lack of a better words, and they called him a bad nigger. Now, I understand some of you may be offended by the language that I'm speaking on, and using the N word in such a very distasteful, yet in a somewhat historically fashioned way, because what they call that term, being, or bad, uh, you know they're basically talking about black people who look just like me. If you notice that good, bad, they all, even the same type of people that do good and bad, you can still look at them and say, you remind me of myself. You look like me. And back onto the topic of like Malcolm X's father and how the way he exemplifies being a bad nigger, because he was out there talking about how black people should do for themselves, should go back to Africa, and just doing overall beautiful things for the people, and overall separating themselves from their so-called their oppressors, not so-called oppressors, because in essence, they represent independence. They never wanted to rely on the very same people that imprisoned them to give them freedom. They want their own freedom, and they were not desperate, but they were ready to do it. But sad enough, he was killed by it, and same thing happened to his son, Malcolm X. That's sad, and his man. And then looking at that, and here, even though I always tie in what happened with my people into my videos, and you notice that a lot. Well, maybe in my early videos you didn't, but later videos you notice that, just because my history is important to me and I'm willing to share it with you. But what is good and evil? What is doing the right thing? And essentially, what does it mean to be a good person? See, look, in being a good person, this is to me, because in being a good person, you're not a clone, you're not a conformist. You know the difference between right and wrong. You know what to do, but yet you're responsible, and you're not afraid to speak out on injustice. You will talk on it. You will talk about it in many different forms, regardless if it's in art, if it's in music, if it's in acting. Basically talking about the overarching, what's going on, what's the problem, and how can we solve it, either through political action, social economic action, or through coming together and talking about this. But then now there are those who actually say they are doing the right thing by minding their own business. I understand that, not dealing with certain topics and actually just avoiding it altogether will keep you safe from harm for the time being. But when it's your turn and you want help, all people are going to remember you is for just ignoring their troubles and just saying like, wait a minute, remember when I was in trouble? And you say, yeah. Where were you? And all you could do is just either stay silent or try to make them an excuse, and they would just say, you left me alone while the wolves were biting me. Now that I become the leader of the pack by killing their leader, you want me to spare you. Can't do that. You can't try to play leader and then hypocrite at the same time. You have to be one person, and that's it. But I understand you want to understand, perspective, so you try to live the life that they live. But essentially, you have to remember, not everyone's lives are the same lives. And doing the right thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make people happy, because in doing the right thing, people have different perspectives on the right thing. Some people think oppressing other people is the right thing because they can justify it through biblical texts. They can justify it through manipulation. They can justify it through variable other means. And it's real sad when people try to justify what happened onto other people, but yet at the same time, they talk about, oh yeah, this is doing the right thing. This is what it means to be a good person. Just follow what society does. Don't break any laws, and don't speak out on injustice. And I understand, but when society has crooked laws and corrupt politicians, telling the truth and overall speaking out on injustice is the best thing, one of the few greatest things you can ever do. Or exposing the problem. That's one of the greatest things you can ever do, because if you don't do that, you're not helping the situation. You're in fact partaking in the evil by doing nothing. And if you think, if it ain't affecting me, so fuck it. Why try to fight? Because when it does affect you, you want to cry and beg to either God, Yahweh, Allah, or various other gods, whatever God you worship. You want to pray to him, saying like, wait, how come all this is happening? How come I'm being oppressed? And you know what they're probably going to say unto you? They're just going to look down and say, we've given you many gifts. We've given you many ways of handling problems. We even gave you the greatest gift, speech. The greatest gift, life. Matter of fact, 3 greatest gifts: speech, life, and expression. You said fuck life. You shunned out speech, and you were overall expressionless. I understand, they went out cursing and all that stuff, but catch my drift. And overall, you got what you deserve. You are essentially an emotionless doll that deserves no type of clarity except oppression. And what was the old saying? Saying goes, I'd rather die on my feet than to live on my knees. My people lived that shit. They lived it. Black Panthers lived it. The Pan Africanists lived it. Rastafaris lived it. They would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. And I'm the same way too. Because essentially, let's just put it like this. You don't have, see, look, when it comes right down to doing the right thing, it all starts with you. It all starts with just saying, like, wait a minute. This isn't right. I gotta talk about this. This is the topic I gotta really talk about. And, and I'm talking about what's going on in America and why I look at America as, like, not an optimal place to live because it looks good on the outside, but on the inside is very foul. It's just like what Minister Louis Farrakhan once said: America is a chalice, a golden chalice. It looks good on the outside, jewels encrusted, everything. Basically, the jewels encrusted is like an allegory for, opportunities that look good. And the golden, it looks good, but in the inside, it's just an abomination. Basically, don't be fooled by outside appearances. It's just like the old saying goes: there's always a diamond in the rough, but a pyrite on the outside. Well, the diamond in the rough part. That's the old saying. But pyrite on the outside. Here's a quote I made up that goes with this. See, gold is hard to find, but pyrite is easy to find. Gold is harder to obtain, but pyrite always shows itself. And think about it in terms of like beauty. People think the ideal form or the good form of beauty is looking at the outside, looking pretty, putting on makeup, getting haircuts and all that crap, trying to impress what society thinks is beautiful. But is that good or is it wrong? I understand, a man's gotta look decent, a woman's gotta look decent, but to fool society, to make them think that you have everything in the world except a conscience. It just shows that you have none of that except just a simple, blatant look on life. You think life is all pleasure and no progression. You think you can get through life just by looking pretty. Well, there's something I saw before. They say looking sharp is easy, but doing something is the hard part. And people think looking good is easy. It's true, looking good is easy. But actually doing something is the hard part. And people are afraid to take on the hard part. And funny enough, and I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna keep it off, I'm gonna keep it right, because doing the right thing is hard. And I remember something that my older cousin and my aunt said to me before, and it was this: people, doing bad is actually easier than doing good because you get more recognition by doing bad than you do good. And people think because doing good you can become less rewarded, but in doing bad you become more rewarded. And you want to know what the real sad part is? I can actually see where they're coming from, not because I lived it, but because I see think about it, because you see artists that talk about self-genocide, talking about solving problems through violence, and overall flaunting what the hell they think they have or what they want you to believe they have. Because let's face it, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it right. The artists, they're nothing more than just high-paid employees. That's what I call them. artists, actors. They're just high paid employees. And why do I say that? Look at them. They're earning money from people who essentially pays them. They don't earn money themselves. They don't keep all the money for themselves, or they do anything else with that money. They flaunt off so they can have more people facing into the matrix of, consumerism. And not only consumerism, but into like a 360 deal. And, with the whole 360 deal and, contracts and all that bullshit, people are essentially suckered into like the so-called life of prosperity. And how does this all tie in with doing the right thing? Because people actually think doing the right thing is fooling themselves, thinking that something is wrong is right. Now, if you put it into proper context, the streets is raw, it's rugged, but it's living in a long life. It's glorifying genocide. It's glorifying, killings. It's glorifying, disrespect. It's not glorifying anything right. There's nothing righteous going on out here except the fact that there's peace. Well, pseudo peace. And people want to talk about, how come our youth is not right? How come they're not doing the right thing? And I got one question. Were you there to teach them? Were you there to look at them and say, wait a minute, this is not what you're supposed to do? Now, were you there to say unto them, this is the right thing, and don't be afraid to speak on it? And if you didn't teach them that doing the right thing is not the same as being a conformist, that's the difference. Because good people, righteous people, they are not conformists, and sometimes mavericks, they're not right people. But at the same time, some people can identify with mavericks more than they can identify with conformists. And if you look at, conformists, they will follow anything that either the ruling class, the wealthy, or those with influence say. They don't follow what their morals tell them. They don't do what they know is right. They don't follow their morals. They don't follow their own code. They don't follow what essentially makes them human, but instead makes them clones. And what do clones do? They just live out their purpose and have no identity for themselves, essentially making them just overall blank, just like a blank slate. Neither human, neither robot, neither living nor dead. Just either or. You can see it. Doing the right thing is not essentially being, not essentially being in the mainstream. Sure, you can have like a look on it and just being like, okay, that's what's going on. All right, cool. All right, nice, yeah. But then you look at it and then you just realize, like, wait a minute, something's not right. And then you voice out your own opinions on it. That's the thing. But people don't want to do that because they think it's hard. It's not hard once you get into the groove of it. And just by ignoring evils, that's not doing the world any good. You're in fact letting evil spread. And that's not the right thing at all. You're supposed to speak out when there's injustice. You're supposed to speak out when there's corruption. You're supposed to speak out when there's crookedness. And people trying to pin a scapegoat on other people, that's the worst kind of thing you could do. That's not good. That's not good at all. It's just like America, man. I understand some of you may say, like, yo, but Clash, America is not all that bad. And you're right, it isn't. But at the same time, don't ignore its history. That's the first thing that they're going to get you with. They're going to try to tell you, like, ignore the past, ignore the history, just live for now. And then if you do that, you're just going to essentially think that America's the greatest place to live, which is not. I mean, come on. syphilis program, and, genocide, segregation, war, even on its own soil, and then, overall being biased, and then talking about what's so wrong about this country. Look at its fucking history. It's bathed in blood. It's not wholesome. It's not bad, but at the same time, it's considerably, not the greatest place to live. And some news reporters, some politicians have some nerve to say that America is the greatest place to live. They know its history. They know the history of this place. They know what happened. And they have the nerve to say that. It was built on exploitation. This place is to me, the I don't know how to put my word on it, but the proper word, but it's essentially just a place of exemplified evil. Well, exemplified sins, to be more exact, because we see a lot of sins being committed, but people think it's natural. People ignore evil and think that it's natural. People think, not speaking up on it is natural. They think being a coward is natural. It's not. And it gets real sad. And it becomes, it becomes real sad when you realize that people would ignore a homeless man. Either, don't get me wrong, because I understand that some people don't have much themselves. But, if you do something and you do it because you generally know it's right, and then you choose to do it, then you're doing the right thing. But if you do it because there's an ulterior motive, or if there is, something else going on, then, you become questionable, and then you just think like, wait a minute, am I doing this because it's truly right, or am I doing it because I want to look good in front of people? And if you want to look good in front of people, that's your choice. But remember, in doing the right thing, there is no motive. And overall, you just do it because you know there's nothing to come out of it except happiness and truths. And with that, YouTube, I say this is Broman Class signing out. I1 at 1. Hope you have a great time. Hope you have a great life. I love y'all. Later.